gonna walk out the door, and then I decided to pick it up, and I threw it on the table. I did not bring it.
I might have looked over in the other building, so let's, what should we do? Has anybody got a copy of it?
Yes, which one we're on right now?
Return to 1B. Oh, that's right.
With the magnet.
Right.
Do you want to see this one? I
Yeah.
don't have a copy, but I have it.
Okay, this one.
All right. Let's just say that we start out by saying that we're in high energy, we're in abundance, we're in a high energy flow to begin with. And if we're in this space, we're unattached and we're non-resistant, and we just are being with whatever is unfolding. There is no resistance. There is no separation between me and what's happening. There's just this space of me being in the world as the world unfolds, and me not resisting the unfolding of that world. This is all psychological, not physical. So that's that place that's really high energy. And this is where you vibrate a lot. And this is where you walk away around with that sense of okayness. However, our ego and the world wants to pull us out of this place. Like not because the world's mean, because we've been conditioned to live in a world of resistance. We've been trained, we've grown up in a world of resistance. We've been told happiness isn't okay, you've got to get people to like you, you're not going to be good enough at that. And so we've been raised on negative feeling, negative energy that pulls us away from this place of peace that's always here. So there's always this place of ease going. I'm going to call it a place of ease today. So there is no struggle here in the ease. So, but along comes the world and our ego, and through old trainings, we're pulled out of the ease into a world of resistance. That's when the ego says, I don't like what's going on right now. This isn't right. This isn't good. This is unjust. This is unfair. And it starts making all these determinations about the world. They're resistant because resistance says, yeah, there's injustice in the world. There's crime in the world. There's pain in the world. There's pettiness in the world. And we don't have to resist the fact that there is those kinds of things in the world. We're not talking about behaving now, about doing something about injustice. We're just talking about there is this concept of injustice in the world, which we create. If we stay in abundance, there is no injustice in the world. If we stay in abundance, there is no unfairness in the world. And if we stay in abundance, there is no resistance in the world, psychological. We could hang out here in non-resistance forever if we knew how to do that. But since we came to live in a world of contrast where we need the dark side as well as the bright side to create our experiences on this earth, we have to come to terms with the fact that there is a dark side and there is a bright side that are both experiences. I was going to say they're in combat with one another, but they're not. They're just two sides of the same thing. So really, we're this whole thing, but there are two sides, dark side and the light side, ease and resistance. Got me following me so far?
So, why do we have to experience the contrast in order to be back in the well-being that we were already in?
Because that's where consciousness comes from.
Okay.
And growing consciousness is what we're here to do.
And it's all around you.
We're learning, we're adding to the consciousness of the universe when we figure out how to move from lightness to darkness and darkness to lightness. When we have dark experiences in our lives and we learn how to move out of dark experiences into light experiences, that's like becoming conscious. And that consciousness grows. And as the consciousness grows, I think that's one of the primary purposes for our life here on this planet, is to be the leading edge of consciousness. Abraham, channeler says our primary goal is to be the leading edge of consciousness, not only for us, but for the world that she's channeling. So even this helps people not even of this world. This helps raise the consciousness of a whole another level of existence. That's kind of the theory behind it. But right now we're just taking a look at the contrast between lightness and darkness. So as we get pulled into darkness, we have to say, okay, how do I know I'm in darkness? How do I know I'm in resistance? I
Okay,
feel
wait a
it.
second.
I feel it.
So, are you saying we are well-being, or
Yes.
you're saying that we are experiencing well-being and then we go and experience the non-well-being and experience the being? But when you say that, then we're not actually well-being, we're just experiencing well-being, and we're something else that's bigger than all of that.
But we came from the place of well-being, from the positive, the energy. It's just that difference, the contrast is all around, and then we get pulled and taught, parenting and world around us. We get from alignment, but we came from the place being in alignment.
I think we're bigger than the well-being.
Yeah, we're bigger than this. We're bigger than this chart. That's what you're
Yeah,
saying.
because
Well-being is bigger than this. Well-being is the acceptance of this chart. We accept a high vibration and we allow low vibration. We don't resist high vibration. We don't resist low vibration. That's where we are in the well-being. You're right. It's off the chart. This is the contrast of the universe, and we're off. When we're in well-being, we have embraced the wholeness of the universe, which includes both of these parts.
Because they're still
we're
there.
bigger than the
Because
whole.
they're still there. Right. So wholeness is not up here. Wholeness is bigger than this chart. And ease is bigger. But the human experience of ease or resistance happens at a local level. Here on this planet Earth, we can feel expansion or contraction, ease or dis-ease. And so the idea then is, if we've got these two things to play with, we're here to play with them, and we're here to learn about how we are in relationship to them. How we are in relationship to both of these. That's one of the fun things we came here to do, is to play with contrast. So one of the things we're learning today is how to play when you get into a dark, constricted, resistant space, so that you can find your way back to a higher ease, positive, high energy place. Okay?
And we picked the Earth because it sucks sometimes.
Got a lot of contrast in it. There are
And we
both
didn't
terrible
decide to
and
choose.
great things happening here, and there's a large extreme. I heard once that probably this is somebody who'd been traveling in a variety of experiences, said Earth was probably one of the most highly contrasted experiences around. It's just full of the high, 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 and the low, low, low. Deep, dark torture and pain, and the joy of birth and the joy of creating life. So this particular experience has a lot of contrast in it.
So you think we come here because we want the experience of the extreme contrasts, so that we learn faster?
So we want the challenge. We come here from this larger place. When we come to Earth, we say from this larger place, I can hardly wait to get there and experiment with the contrast. Because I know there I can create anything I want. I can be a manifester. I can create my own happiness and joy there. So I'm anxious to go there and be a creator. I'm anxious to go there and make things happen. But I realize that I'm also going to be up against a dark side of being there, as well as a light side of being there. So I think we come in not anticipating the horror of this place. Once we get here, we can feel the horror. But I think in this higher space where we choose to come here, if in fact we do, we just have a sense of the adventure that's waiting for us.
Or we want to do some crazy life lesson thing.
Yeah, we want to
and
make
suffer.
we want to experiment, we want to play, we're ready to
So that we
play.
can
Maybe
get through
we're
it.
bored up there, I don't know, but when we come here, we're ready
Or learn something hard. Or both.
Yeah, which kind of being, well, that can be the same thing for me. Learning something hard is joyful. The work is joyful. The work on this planet is joyful. Whether it's to learn how to get out of hard darkness or how to sustain lightness, the work is joyful. And the minute you make the work unjoyful, then you have again succumbed to the dark side of your existence. More questions? So given the nature of that, the universe is going to come along and pull us out. So returning to well-being is the art and skill of finding yourself out of the ease and learning some ways of getting back to the ease. How do we move from constriction, resistance, dis-ease to expansion, ease? And in this chart, we have several steps. First of all, we realize in the bottom line that we're entangled. We're entangled into the darkness, that we're attached to something that brings us into the darkness. And the skill we must learn here is how to just to be able to stop and say, oh, we're in the dark. Oh, stop. First skill, stop. And recognize, self-recognition, that you are in the dark side, the constricted side. You're experiencing it in your thoughts. You're thinking bad, not bad things. You're thinking things that feel bad. You're feeling things that feel bad. Your body is experiencing sensations that feel uncomfortable. All of those things, or at least one of them, will indicate to you that you have arrived into the discomfort of this constricted side. So that's rule number one. And the step number one is to get present. Once you realize that you're there in this side, well, you have to be present to realize that you're caught up in the negative side, the constricted side. So being in the present moment and recognizing the symptoms is the first step. Because you have to be in the present moment to recognize the symptoms. Now the next goal is start to untangle. So you're entangled with this dark side because you're attached and you're wanting something that isn't here. And so you wake up to that, as the Buddha would say. You wake up to that, and that you realize that you're there and that you feel the sensations of being there, and then you untangle. The untangle means how do we get, it's almost like being in a pot of tar and you're caught in a pot of tar now and you're feeling that stuckness. Now how do you get out? How do you untangle? How do you start to release that? How do you start getting relief? So you have to start getting some distance from the experience you're having.
This is how you untangle.
You untangle by saying, okay, I'm tangled here, and yet there's more of me. So you get that space. And that more of me includes my own stuckness. But there's my unstuckness, and then there's more of me. So I have to find a way to get some distance on that. And that takes the skill of allowing the stuckness to be okay. And not to be okay. Allowing the acknowledgement of the stuckness. Allowing that I'm stuck. I have to not only say, look, I'm stuck, but my second step is to say, and I'm not going to resist that stuckness. That's the opening and the allowing that says, if I resist the stuckness, I'm going to make more stuckness. I have to not resist the stuckness. I have to be the stuckness and allow myself to be the stuckness. then I can be more, now I'm two things. I'm the stuckness, and I'm the allower of the stuckness. Get that? Or I'm the observer or the allower of the stuckness. So I'm two things right now. I'm in a way, I'm almost in two states of consciousness right now. One that says I'm very stuck and I don't like it and help me out of this and I'm going to die. And the other part of me that says, and I can allow that to be so that I can become larger than this stuckness. I can allow the stuckness. That allows me to become actually larger than the stuckness I'm feeling in the moment.
How can you help clients to understand that? I guess there is nothing. It just seems they understand very like the opposite way. More you have to push, more you have to disagree. There's no way I'm gonna accept it. I'm this broken now, you know, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna do. It's very hard.
So one of the things is throw out understand. We're not trying to get clients to understand this. We're trying to get clients to experience this, not understand it. But we kind of have to understand it in a way so we can say, okay, we can understand what we're trying to get ourselves to experience. And then if we can experience, and this is primarily for us, if we can experience the recovery of ourselves from our own dark side, then we have that kind of experiential understanding to take to the client. So we invite the client through enactments, not through cognition, not through understanding, but through experiments in the room. What's it like to be present? What's it like not to be present? What's it like to allow? What's it like to resist? All of that gets summed up in the enactments and the invitations and the experiments we create in the room. And they get, oh, it feels better when I let go than when I hold on. Okay, that's essentially what you're doing. When you're in the dark, you're here, and when you're in the light, you're here. So we're not teaching them through concept, we're teaching them through experience.
You know, I just started seeing this young girl last week, and you know, I tried doing different, you know, experience. You know, I did the observe allow, I did the tapping. Like, she's not capable of getting into experience here and now. She's not, you know.
She's not yet ready.
She's
to put her
not
focus
feeling.
on here
She's
and now.
not, you know, being.
Yeah. Because what happens is when you get stuck in the darkness, you create more darkness. Because you see, you actually grow the darkness, because the only way out of the darkness is the acceptance of it. But when you're in the darkness, your first response isn't to accept it. The natural response to pain and constriction is, let me out of here, which is more constriction and more pain and more darkness. And so nobody's coming along and saying, you don't have to do that. That's the only thing they know how to do. So they keep recreating and exaggerating and growing this disease, this discomfort. So they get in it and they don't believe in anything else. All there is for them is pain, suffering. Their life's always been shit. It will always be shit. They'll never get what they want. Look at the evidence, and the evidence will point to it. Yeah, you haven't ever got what you want. How come? Because you don't know it, but you've been constantly stuck in the darkness. You've been constantly stuck in the constriction. And nobody has come along and said, hey, take a deep breath. Just practice allowing for 1 second. Practice not resisting for just one. Nobody has come along and offered that to them. And then when you finally do come along and offer it to them, they go, hey, what is this foreign thing? This crazy foreign thing that goes against my entire life experience that you're offering me. You're crazy. I already know what my life experience is about. I have an understanding even of how my life sucks. And now you come along and essentially saying that I don't have to have a life that sucks. And that I'm responsible for it sucking. And actually just don't want to hear that from you. Because it feels so invalidating of my pain and my discomfort. So I become addicted to my own level of discomfort.
That's kind of similar how my client felt, who, you know, was sharing last week how he was dismissing everything I was doing and inviting him in therapy, because I believe maybe the part of him felt exactly what you explained, dismissed. Like, how can you believe or hold this hope or, you know, believe there is a different way because 100% I know, I lived all life long.
And how can you know about me
Yeah.
and my constriction? And how dare you suggest that I have anything to do with it?
So that's where it was like kind of like that little something.
Yes, because introducing non-constriction is a concept that's unfathomable in so many people's minds. If you're raised in a world of constriction and somebody comes along and tells you you don't have to stay in that place, you test your own reality. You have to go a little bit crazy to get well. The way to get well is to go a little crazy. It's not about going sane, it's about going crazy. It's about accepting things you've never accepted before. It's about trusting in things that you've never trusted before. It's about surrendering your life experience for a new experience. Now you gotta be crazy to do that. That's all right. We are going to continue to invite our clients to be crazy and let them get crazy. They're going to probably get more and more deeply embedded in their own investment, in their own darkness for a while, because you are offering them a light. And by the way, they don't want to believe in a light because it dismisses them. What are you doing?
I'm taking nothing.
Okay, all right. I just distracted me a little bit, and I'm on a roll here. But I'm thinking I'm teaching this for me, not you anyway. So go ahead. It's going to be all right.
I think that what's more, I think that difficult thing actually, and you don't talk about it often, is that you're talking about stepping out of stepping out of negativity, but the flip side of the coin is that we also unattach from good things. That, oh, I got promoted, or I got a big house, or like, oh, I just bought a BMW. That's also work, I think. Say, okay, and just kind of unattach from that as well. So it's not
also constriction, absolutely. It isn't whether it's good or bad. It's constriction.
Attachment.
It's constriction. Even the I got a good job but I don't deserve it is constriction. Or I get a good job and then I sabotage the job because I don't think I deserve it is constriction. So even things that feel positive or negative, both, I get your point, if there's an element of constriction to it, it's not going to work. So it's the constriction we're looking for, and that's going to cause dis-ease. And we can actually feel good about something in our lives and still be in dis-ease.
Yeah.
That's your point,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you could, like, let's say I won a marathon, whatever. But if that's still uneasy, like, oh, I gotta keep this position, I gotta win it next time. That's unease, even though, I'm getting a good thing in life.
In fact, in the minute you really allow yourself the celebration of winning a marathon, you're not in this disease because you're allowing, and you're having a good time, and it's right there, and you're going, oh my God, look what I've accomplished, and for a few seconds, you're finding this ease. And then what happens is it doesn't last very long, like you say, because how am I going to win my next one? And this won't be enough for my dad to approve of me anyway. And so we'll fall right back into this bad habit, this addiction we have of being here in the constriction. So yes, people, I go to see a good movie, don't you? And then you're illuminated and you're enlightened and you have this joyful experience about, oh, how great I feel right now. So it doesn't mean we don't ever go up into high energy ease. We just haven't learned to live there. So that's why we have to keep returning to it. We have to keep returning to it, and each time we return to it, we try to hang out in it just a little bit longer. And then catch ourselves being pulled out quicker, and return to it even sooner. Hold it a little longer, catch ourselves being pulled out quicker. And so over time, we end up spending more time in the ease than we spend in the dis-ease.
So you think that the addiction to the disease is out of fear?
Habit.
Habit?
fear is the symptom. Yeah, fear is one of the experiences you'll have in disease.
But
It is not, it's about constriction, it's about,
why do we have the addiction to the constriction? Like, I was thinking that we have the addiction to the constriction because we don't want to experiment with doing something else, so we're keeping.
it's
In
not
the
so much
same
that we
pattern.
don't want to, we don't know that
We
we
don't
don't
know.
have to be constricted. Nobody's taught us. We don't have an experience, and we don't have an okayness, we don't have a belief in non-constriction. We have a belief in constriction.
Well, and that's what you were saying about we grow up learning how to constrict ourselves
Yes,
in order to survive.
yes,
So then our survival is dependent on our continuing to constrict.
Which is fear.
Right, so the of death,
Mhm.
of annihilation.
yeah. So this expansion is something constriction fears, absolutely.
Expansion is
Constriction
something
fears,
constriction fears.
Die.
expansion.
So the addiction to being constricted is not an addiction, but a habit. Like, it's not like we seek the constriction, it's a habit because we were conditioned in this way, we don't know any other way.
Yeah, that's
And
all I
it's a
know.
little scary.
I think
We're
it could
very
be
scared.
both.
Well, what's the addiction part?
It's more maybe I don't know.
It's habit, and also that's your identity. So if it's any other way, it's like it's death. It's like, I don't know.
What is an addiction
Are
do?
you, yeah,
An
that was
addiction-
my question.
Addiction soothes.
Yeah, addiction.
So how could this dark side soothe?
Because it keeps you away from the fear.
That's right. It
Okay.
keeps you away from the realization that you're more than this, which is a terrifying experience to have when you're not feeling worthy and somebody tells you you're worthy. That's terrifying. So I'll use my not worthiness to keep myself addicted and soothed so I don't have to face my worthiness. It's kind of crazy.
But it's all an existential fear.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Fear is the experience you have when you constrict.
Well,
It's the primary experience you'll have.
or it's you constrict to move away from the fear.
That, I can't see how that would work. How would that work?
Well, if I'm afraid of being open and seeing that I'm more than it, I contract, which eases the fear.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, right. Yeah. That's right. So that's why the constriction is, in a way, an addiction. Because in and of itself
It is.
relieves
Right.
some existential anxiety
right.
about having to face that we've lived our entire life wrong.
It's such a sad experience. No, there's a heartbreak in it.
Yes, I understand. Yes, I think it's probably more existentially painful to come out of the darkness than it is to stay in it.
It's all known and familiar, and we know how to.
That's right. And the ego plays a large part in this constriction. The ego is the part of you that has learned that this higher vibration, the ego wants nothing to do with this higher vibration. The ego is identification. This up here is disidentification. This means no attachment, no identification.
Is that true?
This means identification. Okay?
You can identify and be.
I think you can identify. I think you can get stuck in identification in the feel good part too.
I'm defining identification as an attachment to something that needs to be there in order for you to be okay.
Yeah, and I think that can
But
happen in that
that
space.
will go down in the dark space because
But
you're
when
not
you're
feeling that good. You're still not in a place from, allowing as it is. You're attached. If you're attached, you're going back to dark.
If you can have an identity that you're not attached to, although I don't see how you do that, then you can do that. If
But I
you can have
think-
an identity here that requires no attachment, then it's just fine because all that exists up here is non-attachment. So I can be a mother without identifying and making sure my baby's okay and making sure I bring my kid up according to the rules, and that the neighbors respect my kid's behavior so they'll respect me. So all of that is identification as a mother. That is not here.
No, but you've defined being up there as being not down there.
Yes.
So there is, like, built into it, you've already separated them out. So if you're identifying, like, there isn't an identification if you're in that space all the time of being a person who's there.
Okay.
We're saying
so-
now I'm in ease, so that's
Right.
my identity. I'm
So-
in
so-
ease.
So
you're
what I'm
up-
saying
when
is,
you're up
yeah, the
here,
whole
when
thing
you're up here.
is a lack of, like, if you can separate from both, that's unattached. But if you're just hanging out in the high part,
Yeah.
and there's some investment in staying up there,
Okay.
then
That's right.
you're identified with it.
That's right.
So attachment.
Yeah. So, but if you can let
So
go
this
of,
is just you in the larger space saying, if I'd like to have a human experience, I'd like to have a human experience primarily of ease rather than
Right.
disease. But they're both part of who I am because that's right.
because
But
we're
not that I'm
individual, like
identified with
a,
them, but because those are
we're
the two
born.
parts of the universe
Right.
that I have to come to terms with without being in resistance about. So I stay way up here out of resistance, and I alternate back and forth between here because of resistance and constriction. And this is the play, this is the fun. Feeling good, feeling bad, but there's something bigger than feeling good, feeling bad. It's not being attached to either
Right.
feeling good or feeling bad. Yeah, okay, you got it. We've got it.
woo!
The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain.
Names.
Okay.
Mm.
So the third step then, as you start untangling, letting go, getting bigger, allowing, becoming the observer, is once you get out of the heaviness of this constriction, you pivot. You make a new decision. And you say, okay, I'm going to think a little differently, feel a little differently, have a different somatic. I'm going to direct myself toward feeling better. So when I get out of feeling, let's say I'm feeling afraid down here, when I untangle from fear, I get to the part where fear doesn't have me captivated anymore and captured. I can choose to go the opposite direction. That's what pivoting is. Pivoting is choosing, letting your negative experience define your positive experience. Pivoting says, when you know what you don't want to do, you're much more clear about what you do want to do. And there's a moment when you realize that what you don't want to do can easily be switched, can easily be the guidance you need to switch you around and point to what you do want to do. So in this moment of my fear, I get out of it, I untangle from it enough to say, I don't want fear, what do I want? I want non-fear. So when I get out of fear long enough, I can make a new choice and say, I want acceptance, I want allowance, I want non-fear, I want to be joyful in my life. So there's room for a new direction to be, there's room for you to pivot from here to here.
Is that the edge? Or is that totally different? Is that like the same as the edge?
Huh, I never thought of that. I think the edge is when you're on the verge, yet you're right here on the verge of making a decision. The edge may be this line in between here. And right here, you're in a position where you could go back, or you could jump, or you could just stand right here and be in that moment of existential angst. So yeah, I would guess that that's where the edge is. So at some point, the decision to jump is the decision, the pivot. I can no longer stand the pain of my life. I'm going to jump off this cliff into nothingness rather than stay in the pain of my life. And that's an existential death, and it's a leap of faith, and it's a place of pivoting where you say, no more this. This has all shown me where I don't want to go. Very clearly now I do know where I do want to go. On a very simple basis, it's like, okay, what do you want to eat for dinner? Well, by knowing I don't want 9 things, I can really come up with something I do want. But sometimes I really have to go through the 9 things I don't want to find a way to choose something that I do want. So the pivoting is the third and final step you make. It's a decision to step into space of ease rather than in the space of unease. And then you're back in ease again. Yep, go ahead.
It feels sometimes like it's not necessarily making a decision to step into ease, but that it's stepping into, I have no freaking idea, but I'm willing to move away from this.
I think you're right. It's about deciding to step out of non-ease
Right.
rather than to step into ease.
And it's often what feels really unknown.
Yes, absolutely. So it's not a conscious, oh, I'll feel better when I step in.
Right, often it
It's
feels
like,
the opposite.
okay, I've got to, I don't have any choice. If I don't,
Right.
I'll die.
Right.
So I go here because otherwise I die. So it
And I
feels
may
like
die anyway, but I can't be
it-
here.
It feels like a default position. And so when you finally step back into high energy here, then this is when you start experiencing ease and love. And the skill here is staying connected to this energy now that I'm in it. That means being grateful, being appreciative, allowing myself to be fully in the present moment, allowing this full experience to be here without any resistance. Now I'm in ease, and my idea is I'm in ease. So then from this place is when I connect with others. So this is where we'd like to be as therapists. And then we step over here and we connect to our clients from this place of ease, when we're already grateful and appreciative and no longer afraid, and in our sense of ease and well-being, then that's when we want to start making connections to other people. That's when this is the best therapist's place to be in, of course. We're often not there. Countertransference will take us down here in an instant, and then we'll have to unravel to get back up here again. So that's why this is called returning, because over and over again, you'll be doing more returning to well-being than you will be hanging out in it, because so much of our lives has been conditioned to be constriction. So we're going to be pulled into constriction over and over. We're going to get a lot of practice moving from constriction to non-constriction. And that's what this journey is about, getting a lot of practice and getting better at moving from constriction to non-constriction. Moving and then feeling the joy and the pain of the world, both from a place of non-resistance. So once we get up here and we connect to other people, the idea is now how do we stay here? And I've got mindfulness, allowing, seeing abundance in everything. These are things we can walk around doing. Staying in ease. See ease everywhere you look. That's the way to stay in ease. See everything is ease. That ease. Look how beautiful, how much work went into that, how much creativity. Look at this thing, isn't it absolutely, see love and ease and okayness and gratitude in everything.
But it would be harder if there's a decaying corpse there and say, oh, how beautiful that dying corpse that smells.
It will be a little bit
Well,
harder.
but that goes to create life. Like that decomposing flesh feeds.
They're gone somewhere else, and this is nurturing the planet and the earth and recycling. So there's always a way to find something to appreciate and be grateful for in everything you look at. Even a murder, even torture. I mean, okay, I'm putting us on the extreme edge of ability to see things, always see things from gratitude and appreciation and love. And yet it can be done. And if it is done, if you can stay in there, you won't have to go back down here. Nothing can pull you out of this place if you see everything from love, from gratitude and appreciation. Even their attempts to pull you out, even your own ego's attempt to pull you out. You can love your ego. Try that someday. Try loving and appreciating and being grateful, the part of you that wants you to be constricted, that wants you to be identified, that wants you to be suffering, the part of you that wants that. See if you can allow that, then you can stay here forever. What, Harriet?
I think that you get to stay up. One of the ways to stay in well-being is by dipping your toe into the unwell-being.
Yes.
And when I'm looking at that, I'm seeing it as kind of a horizontal thing where it's like the dark side of it, and then you have the edge, and then you have the pink, which is what you get after you jump off the edge, even though you don't know it. But then I would surround it with all this other color of green or something, because it's the whole thing that's holding this. And then there's this dance where after you get to here, then you're in here, but you have to dip your toe here so that you can come back here.
Yes,
Did that make sense?
does to me. And you've got to be in the higher space to know that you can do that.
I think green is the higher space. It sounds like you said, this
Yeah.
color. That seems like a higher
Yeah,
stance.
that's what it feels like. Purple would be the color I'd choose. But it's still the same idea that's the space that's even bigger than the contrast of the universe. And our consciousness is an attempt to transcend the conflict, the contrast of the universe.
But I don't think that when you're saying that we could stay in the well-being and then be pulled to down there, I don't think that it's possible for us to stay in the well-being here on Earth unless we are
Agreed.
going back there.
Agreed. But it doesn't take much contrast to keep us here.
Which
It
is why
doesn't
it's
take
just
the
your
kind
cup.
of contrast we live in with this horrible place that we could planet, that we could, it just a little bit of resistance would keep us as a reminder to stay up here. We could probably live in an existence in another consciousness somewhere where there's not much contrast in the universe at all. Just enough to remind you that there's another place to go. So I agree, we don't ever hang out here. You can't hang out here.
And I think that it should, instead of being on top of that, it should be next to.
Okay.
Because it feels like, it makes it sound like
okay.
it's better
Yeah,
than the
that's
other
true.
one if it's up here and down here,
Uh,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's connoting something that, yeah.
That's
It's-
true.
There's
Yeah.
not enough space
Yeah.
to do the other way. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, somebody
Well, it
could
would have to be
redesign this
three-dimensional.
chart, put it sideways and moving back and forth between the two. It seems so right now to have it be side by side rather than up and down. Oftentimes though, this feels so down, it feels so
Yeah.
cold and so heavy. And this kind of feels light, like the clouds and above and the breath of fresh air, and this is hell and heaven, which is our religious metaphors for these two places. So,
And I can also see this way too, when you attach to something you've been pulling down, you pull down yourself, when you cling to
the
something.
magnet sucks you, the vacuum cleaner sucks you down. But you're right, there's standard stereotypes that we don't necessarily want to perpetuate these ideas. So we may have to speak, like when you teach this stuff to students, you may want to explain to them just that this really isn't a hierarchy, because it looks like a hierarchy.
Yeah, because if you didn't have that one, then you wouldn't have the other one, so that it
That's right.
can't be
Sorry.
a bad thing.
Panic.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what I do to teach this to clients is I do a guided imagery. I've probably done it with you, but let's go through it real fast together, okay? So you ask the client, you be the client, and I'm going to say to you, all right, I want you to see if you can find an experience that's going on inside you right now that is slightly uncomfortable or unpleasant. It might be just anxiety, or maybe even more fear. It could be just anticipation. It could be a little fear of what's going to happen because you're in the future. Or it could be a little regret about what just happened on your way over to session today. Find just a little piece of experience that has some discomfort to it. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take that experience and I want you to visualize an ogre. And I want you to allow the experience to be an ogre.
What is over?
An ogre or a demon or
Monster.
something that represents a monster or something, a trickster. Another good word is a trickster. Let this represent a trickster in you. And give it a shape and a size and a form. It could be a little leprechaun, or it could be a big octopus, or it could be a, just give it a, give this experience a shape. And just look at it. This is your experience now. And I want you to imagine it's kind of like running amok. It's got you, it's got hold of you, and it's pulling you everywhere. It's pulling you this way, and it's pulling you that, and it's saying, look out for this, and watch out for that, and we don't want to be this, and we don't want to be that, and you can feel this thing pulling you. And you can't find a sense of yourself here, because this little trickster is yanking you all over the place. And now what I want you to do is just say to the trickster, I'm stopping now. And just stop. The trickster isn't going to stop. The trickster's going to still try to pull you everywhere it goes. But you're essentially saying to the trickster, I'm not willing to be part of this. I'm stopping now. I'm not willing to be part of this. Now the trickster can still pull on you and push you and try to control you, but you have your sense of a limit here, a little bit of space between you and the trickster. Just a little bit of space, and that's called a limit, where you can say, I'm no longer willing to participate and give the trickster any power here. I'm putting a space between me and you, trickster, so that you, right now, don't have any power over me. You can still be the trickster. You can still run around. And now when you've got the trickster just a little bit separate from you, put a fence, a barrier between you and the trickster. A wooden fence, a corral, a wall, some kind of barrier between you and the trickster. And encircle the trickster with that barrier. So the trickster is free to run around and be a trickster, but he or she bumps into the walls everywhere they go. And the trickster can't get to you now because it runs into a wall. And no matter where it goes crazy. It runs into wall after wall after wall. It picks up speed. It tries to jump the wall. In fact, it will really accelerate for a bit because it is feeling its constriction, and it wants to get you. It's hungry and you're its food. And if it doesn't want you, it wants your partner. It wants your friend standing next to you. It wants to create a fight with your partner, so that's its food. And it's trying to get, but you've got this barrier, impermeable barrier between you, all your friends, and your life, and it, which is, again, stuck on the inside of this corral or this enclosure. And just feel the safety now and the relief that just comes from knowing not only are you a little bit separate from this demon, but you're also got some space between the two of you that can't be breached right now. In fact, what I want you to do is I want you to crawl up on top of the barrier and sit there and watch your demon down there in the place, running around, bumping its head, screaming at you, blaming you. I'm hungry, you're killing me, this is not good, the world sucks, how dare you do this to me? And you can just see it wants, how bad it wants to get you. But it can't get out of this enclosure that has been created here. And you're safe. And you can actually watch. In fact, I want you to watch this demon, this trickster, running around, bumping. Now I want you to expand the constriction, the enclosure. I want you to expand it so huge that your little demon in there has all of this territory to run around in until it runs into a wall. And it can create anything it wants to inside this barrier. It can create a picnic lunch. It can create a catastrophe. It can create an entire war going on inside of this enclosure. But none of it gets out. And then you notice after a while that she starts to get a little weary and starts dropping some of the energy because it begins to see how futile it is to just continue to run around and bump its head into all of these walls and to carry on this huge drama in there with to no avail. It's not getting fed. You're sitting on it. You're not feeding it. You're not jumping into the corral so it can eat you. You're not throwing your friends into the corral so it can eat them. And now your demon is getting hungry and tired and a little disillusioned and frankly a little bored, because it's the fight, it's the combat that keeps your demon alive and healthy, and you're not providing any combat. So something starts to happen to the little character. It either starts to rest and starts to just take a nap and go to sleep, or it transforms itself into something else. And just watch and see what your little character does. Does it just get weary, lean against the wall, and go to sleep? Does it go into a meditative state? Does it turn into another kind of experience? Maybe it manifests itself into a different character altogether, because this one isn't doing it any good anymore. And from your view up there on the barricade wall, I want you to love and allow and accept this demon to do and be whatever it needs to do and be right now. And feel the love go out for it, and know that you can love it without letting it get you. And you're going to feed it love now instead of combat. All you have to offer it right now is your love and acceptance and your allowance. And I want you to sit up there and feel grateful. I want you to feel grateful. I want you to feel appreciative of your little demon and what it's doing right now. Appreciate it. Allow it. Grateful. And as you send all this energy to the little demon, as I said earlier, it will start to shift. Because it can't. Love is the only thing to which it has no defense. And so you're sending it, you're feeling it full of love and of gratitude and appreciation. And now you're sending it total non-resistance. And you're offering it no resistance. And so it cannot survive in its form. It can no longer survive in its form because it needed combat. And it's got love in place. So there may be, you may see a transformation going on now. And as the final step, I want you to get off the barrier and get rid of the barrier between you and the demon. Knowing that you're safe without a barrier, without any protection. When you get that that demon can receive your love rather than your combat. That demon can be totally allowed to be a demon, and it will not hurt you. It will not try to get you anymore. And if you want, some people just take that demon right inside them somehow right now. If that feels right, then just make a little home, a little apartment space for this demon to go in and just take itself into. As it's basked in love and appreciation and gratitude right now, it becomes part of you, not alien to you anymore. And you'll find that it fits quite nicely inside someplace in your heart or in your body or in your mind. And when it's full of love, it's such a friend. It's such an ally. And you're in charge of it. And all you have to remember is to feed it love instead of combat. And to let it be. It's gonna yell occasionally. Look, there's danger coming, God. See the danger, it's coming. And you just love it. Yes. Yes, I see it. Yes, it is. Thank you very much. I do, I see it. We're gonna fail. It's gonna happen. We're gonna be sorry. I see that that's possible. I see it. Thank you. I see it. It's possible. Yes, here's some love. Not fear, here's some love. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. I see it, yes. I see the possibility. Good show. And the two of you then become very good friends. All working together. Take a few deep breaths. Come on back here into the room. This is an example of helping a client get the experience of these concepts without teaching them to them. You're teaching them through experience rather than through cognition. The cognitive mind understands it's here, but the primary force in this moment is the experience. So, we have a few minutes to process this. What did you not like? What did you do like? What was significant? What wasn't?
I was hugging my demon way before you told me to. I didn't like him starving too much, so I wanted to feed him something different
Okay.
earlier.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I was very loving, and I didn't want him to suffer too long.
Okay. Yeah. Some compassion for this poor dude here running around, driving himself, trying to drive you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I even didn't put mine in a cage at all.
Oh.
It just jumped up in my arms. It was
The
just
whole
like
time,
the
huh?
little M&M, the green. It's just crawling, you know.
And that's one of
was
the things that
entertaining.
happens when you do a group imagery is everybody's going to follow their own rules. And it's not important that they do it the way you suggest. When you get a room full of 20 people, each person's going to do it differently.
Yeah, I think it's important to give permission too. Like, oh, you know, image, it could be an ogre or it could be a monster, you know, it's like, you know, I think sometimes clients feel like they're supposed to follow instruction and they're supposed to, you know, they want to be a good client.
Yeah,
That's
and even
inner-
at that rate, they'll still get something, but you're right, they'll be more obedient clients and less obedient. But I think this imagery is a resource, whether you follow it along or you just create your own. You guys are going to do it much more differently because you've already been introduced to the concept of allowance and acceptance and appreciation and non-combat, and so you have a lot of shortcuts. And there's a lot of people that are going to need every bit of these resources. I did this with a couple one time, but then I had them talk about it. It was very profound for both of them. They saw the demon as their partner the demon was their partner. And so it became this, wow, I can keep myself separate but still in love with my partner.
you tell them to picture their partner, or you just said demon and they both
No, I
pictured their
didn't
partner?
tell them it was their partner. In fact, I avoided it because I didn't want to encourage the enmeshment, the entanglement. I wanted them each to do their own individual unentanglement. But they did their relationship work as well. They did their own work, but they turned it into a relationship piece of work. Comments? More comments or questions?
So, have I decided to continue this class after? What was the last agreement?
We
To-
didn't, we
we
didn't
didn't?
discuss it yet.
I think we're just kind of like, let's just wait and see how it goes. And if we get closer and closer and we want the extra time, we'll just create it. Does that sound all right?
Mm-hmm.
My thing was just that I didn't want you to give our time away.
Yes. I decided not to do that.
Okay.
I decided to give you, if you want to continue this class, I'll give you priority for the time. Just because I want you to like me.
Is that the only reason why?
That's the dysfunctional reason why.
But aren't there
Functional
good reason
why
why
is
too?
it pleases me to be negotiable and to be versatile, and it seems fair, and it feels like it's not my decision to make, and let's make it together. All that feels really good. That feels like a validation of how I want to be in the world. So there are a lot of good reasons why I'm doing it too. And actually this dysfunctional part is less loud, cares less, whether you like. I'm getting to care less whether the world responds to me the way I want it to or not. I'm beginning to be less invested in that. Since I've been through this hospital thing, it also kind of like put a new perspective on my life for me about that's how I hurt myself so badly and got so deep in that pit of mine, was by needing the world to come through for me. And I made a commitment that I'm not going to live in that pit anymore. So that's been a big shift for me.
As long as there are good reasons for doing it too. Because I would like you the same regardless.
Well, my dysfunctional part is sad to hear that, but my functional part is very pleased to hear that. So right now I'm pretty much in my functional part here, but I'm able to name my dysfunctional part for you right now without having it take me away and tie me to the railroad tracks. Thank you for letting me use this.
So this class goes on to 11:15?
Yeah.
11.
Well, we decided for the rest of this class
How
it
do
was
you
going to
feel
end
about
somewhere
the date?
between
You wanna start
11:50
or not yet?
and 11:30. So, whatever.
Is it with you?
I'm going to be around. I'm available if you want. I think I'll turn the tape off though. Unless you want to discuss more of this, or are you ready to go? What do you want?
I think I'm ready to go.
Okay.
We were gonna do therapy.
Oh, you too?
My therapy. With her as my therapist.
Can we record that?
Really?
What?
Really?
Yeah, would you record that?
I wanted to do it in room 4 because I really want to use that sand tray right now because I have.
You can roll a sand tray in. Just an idea.
You can
One of
say
these
that.
days, we've got to get a good session of process, what the process model looks like when somebody's working with somebody. And put that on the web,
Next
our
time.
web
Can I
page.
do it a different time?
Actually, anytime you want. Just keep in mind that we're looking for an opportunity to, we were gonna just have me work with several of you one week. I was just gonna come in, turn on the camera and work with you guys. and see if we could capture a few moments in time when we could capture on video what the power of the process model was. And I'm not up to it today, and I still got a buzz in the system. So just an idea. I'll go turn the video off.
We can do it a different time.
Yep.
Okay, so whenever
I
you
really
feel
want
like
to
it.
go to
Okay.
room number 4. Hopefully it's open.
Room number 4.
I'm attached.